What's up guys, my name is Hoppy and this is Gen 10 Plus, and today we are just going over our grinding montage. I ended up doing about 4 hours of grinding to get our members in the PC decently leveled. They're not entirely caught up with the rest of the squad, but I got them around, all of them up to level 20. Some of them got a little bit higher than level 20 as they were helping train the other members of the squad. So I thought we'll do something a little interesting. We'll talk about the Pokemon that we are highlighting in this grinding montage. We'll do some fun facts about them. And this is a completely optional video. I would love for you guys to stick around and watch. So we're going to learn some interesting things about these Pokemon. And yeah, and if you guys want to just watch the grinding footage to see these Pokemon level up. But yeah, I also did a couple things through the editing software, so we're doing a little bit of experimentation as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the fun facts of these Pokemon. So for Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff is classified as the balloon Pokemon. It shares this classification alongside Drifloon and Quillfish. And in Super Smash Bros., this fact is highlighted by one of Jigglypuff's taunts, where it completely deflates itself. And also, it puffs itself up, it inflates itself to fly around the battlefield in Super Smash Bros. It's kind of like Kirby in that situation. Another fact is that 75% of Jigglypuffs are female, so finding a male Jigglypuff is considered rare in the Pokemon games. Something else that is pretty interesting is that none of Jigglypuff's evolution line evolved by leveling up. Igglybuff, which was introduced in Generation 2, is one of the pre-evolution Pokemon, or what I like to call baby Pokemon, like Elekid and Magby and Smoochum and Pichu. So Igglybuff, the baby Jigglypuff, evolves by high friendship, and then to evolve Jigglypuff, you need a Moonstone. So none of it has to do with leveling up. I think you can get you literally could get a Wigglytuff as early as level 2. If you get max friendship at level 1 with your Igglybuff, you evolve it by 1, or you level up by 1 level after the max friendship, and then boom, it's a Jigglypuff, you give it a Moonstone, you got a level 2 Wigglytuff if you wanted. In Generation 6, in Pokemon X and Y, they introduced the Fairy type as a new type for Pokemon to have, and Jigglypuff was one of those Pokemon that received the Fairy typing. From Generation 6 onward, it's considered a normal Fairy type, which is pretty good. Fairy type is a busted type. It's one of the best types in the game now. Something pretty fun, Jigglypuff's Japanese name, Purin, means pudding. But I also saw that Jigglypuff had a pretty funny French name. The French name for Jigglypuff is Rondoudou. I may be saying that a little bit wrong, but it's like Rondoudou or something like that, but I like to call it Roundoudou. That's pretty hilarious to me. So Jigglypuff, it's in the Fairy type egg group. Egg groups are what are the classifications of Pokemons that are able to breed with one another, and Jigglypuff is in the Fairy type egg group, so it can breed with Pokemon like Clefairy, Marill, Gardevoir, but also Grimmsnarl. Just put that in your mind. Grimmsnarl, the scary looking Fairy type Pokemon, breeding with, well, I mean, you don't need to think about the breeding, but yeah, they match with Jigglypuff, and you can get baby eggs out of a Jigglypuff and a Grimmsnarl. I do put Marshmallow away and go ahead and move on to another member of the team, but we will see Marshmallow again later on in this video, as I get them up to, I think, level 17, and then I decide to move on to another member of the squad, just because level 3 to 17 was a lot, and I needed something else to occupy my time, because I was just, oh my goodness, so much time grinding Marshmallow. But I'm glad that Marshmallow finally got some screen time, and we were able to use it more than just a flashlight. Next up on the list, we have Chicken Nugget, the Spearow. We are getting Spearow trained up and nice and powerful. Spearow is known for its aggressive nature and its territorial behavior. In fact, in the first episode of the Pokemon anime, a large flock of Spearow attack Ash and Pikachu after Ash hits one of the Spearow in the head with a rock. Ash threw the rock at the Spearow because Pikachu was having attitude problems and refused to battle. And because it refused to obey early on when Ash met him in the first episode. However, after being attacked by the flock of Spearows, they did establish their trust connection and they became a solid team after that. Spearow and Pidgey are also known to have a territorial rivalry. And when Ash returns to Pallet Town, he encounters that same Spearow he hit with a rock has now evolved into a Fearow, and that Fearow is attacking the forest Pidgeys and Pidgeotos. This encounter would be the episode when Ash leaves his newly evolved Pidgeot to defend the forest Pokemon from that menacing Fearow. Another thing about Spearow is just so mean. In the anime where Ash meets Charmander and Ash is waiting on that rock for its trainer that abandoned it, in the rain, while Charmander is struggling to keep its flame lit, a group of Spearow attack Charmander as its flame on its tail is starting to go out. Spearow is just a jerk. Why is Spearow such a jerk? But Spearow does evolve into the powerful Fearow Pokemon. Fearow is known for its signature move, Drill Peck. It's one of its distinguishing differences between Pidgeot. And Fearow's Japanese name is Onidrill. Onidrill meaning demon, and drill probably for the fact that its peck is used like a drill. So yeah, Spearow is a pretty menacing, mean Pokemon. It's pretty aggressive. But Nugget's getting nice and powerful, and we're going to use that aggression to our advantage if we need it. We do get to see that Nugget does get a chance to evolve. Should be coming up shortly. There we are. We're going through these last couple of battles just to get Nugget trained up. It's level 19 currently. And then, here we go. Nugget evolved into a Fearow. You love to see it. One of our evolutions that happened in this grinding montage. The next Pokemon we spend a lot of time grinding is Mahi Mahi, the Magikarp. Alright, so a couple fun facts about Magikarp. Magikarp is based on an old Chinese myth about a carpfish that overcomes great struggles and swims up a waterfall to become a dragon. In the Black and White 2 games, both Magikarp and Gyarados can be found in the wild at the nature preserve. The thing about them is that you can catch both of them at either level 1 or level 100. And there's only one other Pokemon, Regigigas, that you are able to catch a level 1 or level 100 Pokemon of in the wild. Later on in this adventure through Red version, we may encounter a fisherman that has 6 Magikarps. Could you imagine being a fisherman walking around with 6 Magikarps? And I do believe his Magikarps are all over the level of evolution. He could have evolved them if he wanted to. But yeah, later on in this playthrough, we see a fisherman with 6 Magikarps. Also, I'm pretty sure he's the only other trainer in the game other than your rival that has a full team of 6 Pokemon. Why is there a fisherman walking around with 6 Magikarps? What is he doing? He's got some kind of master strategies, but he's clearly an ace fisherman, being able to handle a whole team of 6 Pokemon. Maybe one day he'll wisen up and evolve them into 6 Gyarados, and then he may be a pretty menacing challenger after that. The first Magikarp we see in the anime is the one that James from Team Rocket obtains. He buys it on the SS Anne from a salesman. He later abandons it for its uselessness, and then it evolves into a Gyarados and it attacks Team Rocket and Ash and his friends. Also, a pretty fun thing that happened in the Pokemon anime. In the Pokemon Journeys anime, Ash's friend Go has a giant Magikarp that was able to use Splash and jump so high that it exited the Earth's atmosphere. If you guys want to see it for yourself, look up Magikarp in Space on YouTube. I think it's pretty funny. It's pretty cute. It's a good laugh. Also, pretty interesting fact, in Generation 2, Gyarados, Magikarp's evolution, is the first guaranteed shiny Pokemon encounter in the entire series of Pokemon. A shiny Pokemon is just a Pokemon that has an alternate color from its usual. Gyarados is typically blue, but its shiny version is red. So yeah, it is a guaranteed encounter. And I just thought, I didn't know what it, when I first encountered it, I just thought it was a red Gyarados. I thought it was a unique thing. So later on, I'm playing the Ruby version, Generation 3 game, and I'm traveling through I'm just going through the Safari Zone, and I stumble across this red Rhyhorn. And I didn't know what a shiny Pokemon was back then. I just thought it was just another red Pokemon. I guaranteed, oh, okay, this is just a red Pokemon like red Gyarados. I'm gonna catch this red Rhyhorn. I did catch it. I caught it in the Safari Zone, so not only did I find a full odds shiny Pokemon in the Safari Zone, they have a chance to run away from you, because you can't battle them in the Safari Zone, but I was able to catch it. But because I was a small bean, didn't know anything better, I thought it was just a guaranteed catch. I'll just come back in another playthrough and pick up this Rhyhorn anytime. So I ended up deleting that save file, but that was the first legitimate non-red Gyarados shiny that I ever caught, was a red Rhyhorn. I just thought it was pretty cool story to tell alongside with the red Gyarados, because Rhyhorn was red-ish. It was red-ish in Generation 3. But back to Magikarp. Magikarp shiny is actually gold. It's a golden shiny Pokemon. Magikarp share many similarities to the Generation 3 Pokemon Phoebus. They have the exact same level up moveset being Splash and Tackle. However, Phoebus can learn TMs and HMs. They both evolve into Sea Serpent-like Pokemon, Gyarados and Milotic. Milotic is pretty difficult to get, where Magikarp, you evolve through level up. In Generation 3, you have to use, what is it called? Pokeblocks to increase Phoebus's beauty stats. So it's kind of like an ugly duckling thing with Phoebus. But they do both evolve into powerful Sea Serpent-type, Water-type Pokemon. Something interesting about Magikarp is that its Japanese name is Koi King. It's King of the Kois. Whereas Magikarp English name probably derived from magic and from the power that it obtains by evolving into Gyarados, and then Carp, because it is a Carp. So yeah, Magikarp is also able to use Splash has been known to use Splash to leap over mountains. I wonder how much hyperbole is used in the Pokédex, where people come up with these tales about Magikarp. Magikarp is a story of perseverance. You literally have to spend, you typically get Magikarp at level 5. You have to spend 15 levels 10 levels of switch training. Just before, at level 15, it learns Tackle, but Magikarp's stats are so low, using Tackle with Magikarp, it would be faster to use switch training to get it leveled up. But once you do get Magikarp fully evolved, it is definitely worth it, with Gyarados being one of the more powerful Pokemon in games, especially in Generation 1. It's one of the strongest Pokemon in the game. I don't know if we're going to use Gyarados. I do have intentions of a different Water-type Pokemon, but we have Gyarados as an option. I wonder, I'm going to keep him in the box. If we need him, we'll use him. Because if we lose somebody, I'm thinking that he's going to be the one that we add on the squad, because it's nice and powerful, and we're going to need some of that firepower. So when we get Mahi Mahi evolved, it's going to be fantastic. Can't wait to see it. It was a grind, but we were able to get Mahi Mahi evolved. I do end up getting it to level 19, and then I'm like, alright, I'm just going to use my rare candy that I have in the bag, because training it was just too much. And here we go. Mahi Mahi the Gyarados, you'll love to see it. So next on the spotlight of Pokemon that are getting trained up, we have Ekans. Ekans is one of the first Pokemon that we see Jessie of Team Rocket use. Fun fact about that, Ekans has never been scanned in the Pokédex in the anime. Despite debuting in the second episode and being a recurring Pokemon throughout the series, it was never scanned in the Pokédex. I guess Ash just really wasn't interested in learning about Team Rocket Pokemon, which I guess is fair. But I think Coughing eventually does get, and Meowth eventually do get scanned in the Pokédex, but for some reason, Ekans never gets scanned. Another thing about Ekans is that in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which is a spin-off game where you play as a Pokemon, Ekans is a member of Team Meanies, which is one of the antagonist teams in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. So you see Ekans as a villainous Pokemon throughout the series. It's teamed up with Team Rocket. It's teamed up with Team Meanies. So Ekans is just pretty mean in general in the Pokemon universe. Another fact about Ekans is that it preys on Pidgey and Spearow eggs. So yeah, it doesn't have teeth, but it's able to expand its mouth like a normal snake and just eat the eggs. So no wonder Spearow are angry. They have to contest with Pidgeys as well as Ekans trying to get and eat their eggs. So yeah, not very often that you find out about Pokemon eating other Pokemon, but when you do, it is pretty interesting. And it's pretty typical that, Ekans being a snake eating bird eggs, or any other eggs, just like in the real world. We do have some interesting things about Ekans. Ekans is in the field and the dragon egg group. So it can breed with Pokemon like Charizard, it can breed with Dragonite, it can breed with Dragapult, which makes sense. It's Serpentine-like, but also it's in the field egg group. And the field egg group is one of the largest egg groups. So it can breed with Pokemon like Raticate, it can breed with Pokemon like Tauros, and it can breed with Pokemon like Diglett. A snake and a rat, and a snake and a cow, and a snake and a mole, you wouldn't really think that they could breed together. But yeah, interesting enough, they can breed together. One of the more famous facts about Ekans is that Ekans is just the word snake spelled backwards. E-K-A-N-S. Ekans is snake spelled backwards. They also take that liberty with Arbok, its evolution. However, I do think Cobra is spelled with a C in the real life, whereas Arbok is spelled with A-R-B-O-K. So they took some liberties with the spelling for Arbok's name. I also did learn that Ekans' beta name, in the beta versions of Red and Blue, it was called Arbo, which is just a shorter version of Arbok, kind of like how Pidgey and Pidgeotto and Pidgeot, they all have the same similar names, where Arbo is very close. It's literally one letter off of Arbok. So yeah, we're getting Pasta nice and trained, but it was this was another Pokemon that we've had early on. It's been on the team a couple times, hasn't seen the light of day. But thankfully we were able to get it nice and trained up. I ended up spending a lot of time in this Diglett cave. I figured out that this is actually the best place to do grinding right now. Diglett is pretty easy. We're able to switch into Mahi Mahi with the flying type, so it's immune to the dig. So we're able to take down and train up our squad here. And I think we're swapping out to our next members of the team. That's right. We are bringing on Gumball, the Voltorb, and we're training up Voltorb. It's only level 16, so it's not going to be too long before we get into the next Pokemon. But yeah, Voltorb is known for being famously disguised as a Pokeball. And in the games, you may think that you're walking up to a random overworld item spawn, where you just walk up to an item and it looks like a Pokeball on screen. But if you're in the power plant or anything like it, there's a chance that you think it's an item, but you run into a Voltorb. So yeah, a pretty interesting thing that they put in the game where sometimes they have static encounters, and Voltorb was one of those static encounters. And in Generation 2, we learn about the origin of crafting Pokeballs. It comes from using apricorns, which are like these apricot acorn type things. And in Legends Arceus, the game where we go into the past, Voltorb has its own regional variant called the Hisuian Voltorb. It's an electric grass type Pokemon, and it also has an apricorn-like design, which is reflective of the apricorn balls used to craft the Pokeballs in the early on main series. We do find out in Legend of Arceus that Hisuian Voltorb's existence predates the creation of Pokeballs, because the ancient hero of Hisui had an Electrode companion, or become the ancestor of the noble Electrode in game. If you haven't played Legends Arceus, definitely play Legends Arceus. I'm a big fan of it. Voltorb is one of the 3 Pokemon that I'm afraid of in Nuzlocke, because it can explode on you. Geodude, Voltorb, and Coughing, they all have the ability to explode on your Pokemon and just take you out like that. So whenever I come across an opposing Voltorb, I'm always nervous to battle it, because I don't want to lose a Pokemon by it self-destructing and just taking out my Pokemon. Because unless you got a high defense stat Pokemon, you might lose someone. So we're bringing back out Marshmallow to get it trained up to level 20. Another fact that I didn't mention before is that in Scarlet and Violet, the Jigglypuff gets a Paradox form. A Paradox form being a past form of a Pokemon. It has this Pokemon Screamtail, which is a past Paradox form of Jigglypuff. Many theorize it's also related ancestry to Clefairy, but for sure it is a ancestor of Jigglypuff. Next up, we've got Sirloin, the Machop. So Machop is one of 4 Pokemon that I'm not going to be able to obtain its final evolution for in the Nuzlocke, because it's a trade evolution. Machop evolves into Machoke, and then you have to trade it to get a Machamp. Another interesting fact about Machop is that Machop has a tail, but it loses its tail upon evolution. And when it evolves into Machoke, it mysteriously, a pair of shorts and a wrestler's victory belt just appear on Machoke. It loses the tail, and it gains a pair of shorts and belt. Out of nowhere. Pretty weird. We also have our next Pokemon on the squad, Porkchop the Mankey. Mankey are known to be aggressive and short-tempered, and the red version Pokédex entry states that it's extremely quick to anger, and it can be docile one moment and then thrashing away in the next moment. In the anime, Ash does catch, well, it doesn't catch a Mankey, but it catches a Primate. It meets a Mankey and it steals his hat. He chases it down. It eventually levels up, evolves into a Primate through an encounter with Team Rocket, and then he catches that Primate. Then he enters it in a Pokemon martial arts tournament where it becomes the victor of the tournament, and it is currently being trained in the martial arts fighting solo by some other guy in the anime. Interesting though, in Scarlet and Violet, Mankey and Primate gain a new member. It took 8 generations to get a new evolution line to Primate, being Annihilate, the ghost fighting type Pokemon. And Annihilate is super cool. It was a much needed evolution. Big fan of Mankey and Primate. Having Annihilate in the evolution family is an absolute treat. But yeah, we are getting close to wrapping up this grinding montage. I hope you guys enjoyed the little optional episode. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments, and I can't wait to see you in the next one as our journey continues.